Mogador was the lead ship of the French Navy's Mogador class of destroyers, named for the Moroccan town. She was built before the outbreak of World War II. The ship was heavily damaged during the British attack on Mers-el-Kébir on 3 July 1940, but was later repaired and sailed to Toulon. She was scuttled in Toulon Harbor when the Germans tried to seize her along with the rest of the fleet on the 27th of November 1942. She was the last contre-torpedo built by the French Navy, a not entirely successful attempt to build a ship capable of outfighting every other ship below her tonnage. In technological terms, Mogador and Volta were ships with the armament of a light cruiser in the hull of destroyer. The contre-torpedo as a type had been pushed past the limits of its capabilities. Design and description. Mogador had an overall length of 137.5 meters, a beam of 12.57 meters, and a maximum draft of 4.74 meters. She displaced 2,997 metric tons at standard load and 4,018 metric tons at deep load. The Rateau Britannia geared steam turbines were designed to produce 92,000 shaft horsepower, which would propel the ship at 39 knots. However, during sea trials in March 1938, Mogador's turbines provided 118,320 shp and she reached 43.45 knots for a single hour. The ship carried 360 metric tons of fuel oil at normal load and an additional 350 metric tons at deep load. Mogador carried 8 cannon, a 138mm model 1929 in 4 twin turrets, 2 each superimposed, fore and aft. Her anti-aircraft armament consisted of 2 37mm MLE 1933 guns in a single mount positioned on the rear deckhouse forward of the rear turrets. She also mounted 4 13.2mm MLE 1929 heavy machine guns in 2 twin mounts located between the forward superstructure and the forward guns. Mogador carried 10 above-water 550mm torpedo tubes, a pair of triple mounts between the funnels and a pair of double mounts aft of the rear funnel. A pair of depth-charge chutes were built into Mogador's stern. These housed a total of 16 Guarad depth charges. Mine rails were fitted on the rear deck that had a maximum capacity of 40 mines. Service history. Mogador, with her sister Volta, comprised the 6th large destroyer division and was assigned to the Force Raid based at Brest when the war began. This group's purpose was to hunt German blockade runners and raiders and to escort convoys that might be in danger from the same. From 21 to 30 October 1939, the Force Raid escorted the KJ-4 convoy to protect it against the German cruiser Deutschland, which had sortied into the North Atlantic before the war began. A sortie by the Eisenach and Scharnhorst into the North Atlantic on the 21st of November prompted the Force Raid to sail from Brest to rendezvous with the British battlecruiser HMS Hood and patrol the area south of Iceland, but the German ships were able to return safely under the cover of heavy weather without being engaged. Mogador was refitted at Lorient between January and March 1940 and a number of minor changes were made. The necessary improvements identified for the main armament during her sea trials a year prior were finally implemented. The canvas cover for the back of the turrets was replaced by a rolling door, new radios were installed, and shields were fitted to the anti-aircraft machine guns and the searchlights. ASS-6 sonar was fitted in June 1940, but proved to be ineffectual. Mogador was present during the British attack on Mers-el-Kébir on 3 July 1940 and was severely damaged by a hit from an armor-piercing 15-inch shell in the rear hull that detonated her ready depth charges. Although it failed to detonate itself, the explosion destroyed her upper rear hull, but, miraculously, the rear magazines failed to explode. One propeller shaft was undamaged and the other shaft and the two propellers were intact, albeit damaged. She was towed to Oran for repairs. She was dry-docked on the 17th of July. The remains of her No. 4 turret were removed and the after bulkheads repaired and reinforced to make her seaworthy. She sailed for Toulon on the 1st of December where she was docked pending reconstruction. The French Navy decided to reinforce her anti-aircraft armament in light of its wartime experience. Her No. 3 gun turret was to be moved to the No. 4 position, its magazine converted for extra fuel storage, and a new twin 37mm MLE 1933 mount would replace it on top of the rear deckhouse. Two more MLE 1933 mounts were to fitted on each side of the rear deckhouse and a fourth mount was to replace the 13.2 Hotchkiss machine guns forward of the bridge. One 13.2mm Browning machine gun was to be mounted on each side of the forward twin 37mm guns. This plan was later amended to add a degaussing cable. Replacement of the SS-6 sonar by a French copy of the British ASDIC and 6 of the new mitrailleuse to 25mm Contra aeroplanes model 1940 anti-aircraft guns, plus two more 13.2mm Brownings mounted on the forward corners of the center deckhouse. The rebuilding was slowed by material shortages and she wasn't taken into hand by the shipyard forges et chantiers de la Méditerranée et la Seine-sur-Mer until late February 1942. In October it was estimated that she wouldn't be completed until July 1943. She was scuttled in La Seine-sur-Mer on the 27th of November 1942 to prevent her capture by the Germans. She was refloated by the Italians on the 5th of April 1943, but not repaired. Mogador was sunk by Allied bombers in late 1944, but was raised in 1949 and scrapped.